It's time for me to play the teacher role now. Hey, shh. Thanks, Wendy. You can go that way. All right. Like I said, the conversation well worth going over time for. Really brilliant insight from our panelists there, and great moderating from Ben, as always. The future of work, a very, very important convo. And segueing nicely onto my next panel discussion, which is all about entertainment, all things entertainment. So, well, do you want to come up? Come back up? So with entertainment evolving and, rapidly offering various escape routes into alternate realities, we're going to be asking the question, are the lines between man and machine, imagination and reality finally blurring? It's an important conversation. I don't doubt for a second that this is going to be a great convo. So please join me in welcoming to the stage my panelists, Abhayanand Singh, co-founder and group CEO of Vistas Media Group, and Faisal Galeria, Chief Growth Officer for Magic Leap. Take a pew, take a pew.
Thank you.
Hey, how's it going? Good to meet you guys. How are you feeling today?
Feeling very good.
It's been a great day, hasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, I'm really glad that you're a part of this. This is going to be a really interesting conversation. I mean, it's something that we're all talking about right now in the media. Are the lines blurring between AI, reality, what's real, what's fake? And there's so much talk and banter going on around it. So I'm going to pick your brains. Right. So, like I just said, we're already seeing AI and technology really blurring the lines between reality and imagination, in things like filmmaking, photography in particular. So let's say in 10 years, do you think people will still be able to distinguish between the two, or is it going to be complete chaos?
Well, I think there'll be a segment of the audience which will probably prefer things which is an output of the AI tools that we're using today. But there'll always be an audience that still wants to see the content in a very traditional form.
Yes.
We've had a lot of technology changes already in filmmaking, but we still go and watch movies, right? We have animation, we have characters that look very human-like.
Yeah.
But there's a different segment for those, and there's a different audience for people, movies that we're used to, right? So I think they'll try to coexist together.
Yeah, because I guess it's about the traditional filmmaking methods. It's are we going to ruin a good thing here? Is AI going to come along and, to the point of the panelists before, is it going to take some jobs? Is it how is it going to really shake up the industry? Is it going to be a good or bad thing? What do you think?
I personally think we've seen technology in content creation now for 20, 30, 40 years. We've already seen the impact of things like visual special effects.
Yep.
From the time when I was watching movies, starting with Superman and Star Wars, where the visual effects industry first took off.
Yeah.
We're already seeing the blurring 50 years ago of filmmaking, content creation with technology. And I think that, to answer your question, where will we be in 10 years' time? I think if you follow that trajectory, and what we're seeing today, or even very recently with things like Pokemon Go, which was the digital layer of characters in the world around you, but consumed on a mobile phone, that points to a real blurring, to your point, of technology and content, to the point where we'll be experiencing content, not only by watching a TV screen or a film screen, but actually interacting with it, because that's where the technology is going. If you think about 5G, with 100 times the bandwidth of 4G and 10 times less latency, it allows real-time 3D immersive content. So I think we're going to see the blurring of digital and reality in a way that's seamless.
Yeah, I think the difference between now and what you were talking about in the past, all the visual effects and all the technologies that have been around for the last 30, 40 years, we knew, that was kind of the headline thing. I remember when Jurassic Park came out and it was like, that was the big thing, these visual effects and these giant dinosaurs. But I think now we're moving towards a time where people are keeping a little bit tight-lipped sometimes on the technology that's involved. And I think that therein lies the problem. And I think a lot of people are feeling a little bit cheated, or, people are upset that their jobs will be replaced because this technology is now doing such a good job. So I'll give you an example. I read recently that there was a photography competition and it was for AI photography, but someone entered a photo, he's taken a real photo, and he won. And then he revealed that his photo wasn't AI generated because he was trying to make a point that there still has to be a space for people to master their craft and still not rely on technology and do the real thing. And I think that's the big talking point at the moment, is what's going to maybe overtake the other. Are we going to rely solely on technology, or are people still going to be able to hone their craft and be able to make money and do their jobs and continue to film, make games, do photography and things like that?
I think per the panel that we had earlier, I don't see technology as replacing or taking people's jobs. There'll be some jobs that disappear and some new jobs that are created.
Yeah, it's going to create new opportunities.
And what we'll see already is co-creation, where people who were perhaps photographers previously in an analog sense are now digitally annotating and improving their images, will be creating using AI images in the future.
Yeah.
But I think we need to, before we run away with the idea that everything is going to be consumed by technology and AI. I don't know if anyone out here uses Spotify regularly.
Yeah.
But I was one of the early Spotify team. And one of my experiences, or one of the things we did there, was build a recommendation engine so that you could get playlists automatically generated. And recently my playlist, the recommendations have started to have some new type of music being added, music which I don't recognize. It turns out that my 3-year-old daughter is going into the playroom and talking to Amazon and asking for nursery rhymes.
Yeah.
And that's now become part of the data set that Spotify uses to make my recommendation. So we have to be careful, right? We're at a very, very early stage, in the same way as the cell phone that you have is now 25 years old. Smartphone is 25 years old. It takes a long time before technology matures. And at the moment, my music recommendation stream sounds a little bit like a 3-year-old girl's.
I bet that was a shock to the system. You're like, what is this?
You mentioned about, are we being cheated, for example, right? What will be the originality of the stuff that we see, right? I was showing a movie to my grandfather, and he enjoyed the movie. And then a few months later, I happened to come across a VFX showreel of the same movie.
Yeah.
And just to educate him a little bit, I showed him the VFX showreel. He said, "This is cheating. I thought the movie was shot in the actual cities," right? So what do you define as cheating, right? At the end of it, if you're using a tool to create something which kind of resonates with a larger audience, or you create something that is an extension of you, I think it's a fair use of technology.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, do you know what it is as well? I think people fear change, and we're now at that cusp where things are changing quite rapidly. So recently, last week, there's a movie the script was written solely by AI, and it was going to showcase in a theatre in London. The backlash was unreal, so they had to pull it, and no one saw the film because people felt cheated. So I think it's maybe a case of people getting used to, like you said earlier, this co-creation, side by side, the AI and this technology is working alongside the tried and tested traditional methods. Do you think that's probably where we should maybe be focusing on, rather than just tech takeover?
I think people are more threatened than cheated, because there is a risk of job. Obviously, we can't deny that.
Yep.
But at the same time, humans have found a way to evolve with every new technologies that come in, right? From an audience perspective, it makes no difference to an audience what is the tool that the filmmaker has made to make that content, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect the audience. It affects probably a writer who thinks that AI will overtake the writer's job, right? It affects probably a post-production guy who thinks that AI will replace that. But as days progress, as months progress, as years progress, we'll have much more robust regulatory environment, which will prohibit and define what is a fair use and not a fair use of AI, and reward people who are behind it, right? So people who adapt to that change will survive. Unfortunately, people who don't adapt to change brought in by technology have always found, being out of the system.
Yeah, I think as humans, we have a history of resisting change. I mean, if you go back and look at how people felt about the internet, oh my God, and I look at us now, it's just about adapting and getting used to that change, really, isn't it? So do you think AI-generated content, be it filmmaking, be it photography, be it any kind of form of entertainment, do you think it can achieve the same level of emotional and artistic depth as human-created content? And, what are these implications for the entertainment industry?
Have you tried creating any music with AI?
I have not.
Has anybody tried creating any music with AI? Was it any good?
Yeah, toot your own horn there, yeah.
So if you're interested, go and try it, right? Yes, you can create very, very simple tunes or very simple limericks, but right now where we are today is very, very, very early.
Yeah.
If you talk about 10, 15 years from now, it might be different, but are we going to have a Taylor Swift in the next couple of years generated far from?
Yeah.
But one of the things we could look forward to in an AI world is infinite content. So imagine a world where the film ending for you, Lucy, is different from the film ending for me, depending on the context that we're in, on the mood that we're in, our experience, and we can bring all of that to a movie so that every movie is contextually relevant.
Yeah.
So I think there are some positive aspects to AI.
Yeah, definitely.
We talk about all the negative connotations, but it could create infinite content, which is very relevant, very, very compelling and personalized as well.
And we have seen personalized content in the past. When you read a book and it's like, pick this page if you want to go to that. Or some on Netflix, there's a few TV shows that if you want to see this ending, click that. So we're already kind of laying the foundation for that future, which is quite exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you think about the gaming industry, for example, computer games, which is 5 times as big as the movie industry and 10 times as big as the music industry.
Yeah.
That's already been built on algorithms where the game generation and the new pages and new environments are built using machine learning. So we're already seeing that, and that's why it's the availability of infinite content has created an industry which is 5 times bigger than the movie industry.
Yeah.
Adding to what he said, I think it's democratizing and empowering a lot more people that can become creators today by using this tool, right? The same thing happened when mobile phones came in. With great cameras and great resolutions. There were many more filmmakers that we had because somebody could tell a story and shoot it with a mobile phone. This will be yet another such breakthrough wherein more and more storytellers or creators will now have a tool wherein probably they can go out and explain their point of view, using these tools.
So it's opening the realms of accessibility. It's going to create more opportunities. Yeah. So let's kind of expand beyond, we've kind of spoke gaming, or touched a little bit on gaming and music. I'd like to kind of move away from filmmaking for a bit. We spoke about Spotify. Is there any kind of other areas in music and gaming that you feel are important to talk about as to how this technology is going to potentially impact those industries as well?
I think we'll see a lot of convergence of various art forms. Gaming, music, filmmaking all coming together in a very interactive manner. So there'll be new art forms that will be something that we probably are seeing only early days of, that will emerge from all of these combined together.
I think there's kind of a bit of regulation needs to be popped in as well. The stuff with Scarlett Johansson's voice being taken by OpenAI, I think it was, and they didn't ask her permission. They asked her, she said no, and they went with it anyway. And there's just a few examples of, I think Drake, his voice was copied and some music got put out, and it's like, oh, this is Drake's new song. It's like, no, it's not. It's AI. And I think there needs to be, and tell me if you agree, there needs to be a bit more regulatory measures put in, because I think at the minute people are just taking the mickey a little bit, and I think people are going to really feel the negative effects of that, Hollywood actors to musicians. So what do you think is going to happen moving forward with that?
I remember in 2003, I was at Ofcom, the telecoms and media regulator, which was created actually in 2003. And DCMS, the Department of Culture and Media and Sport, asked us how we should regulate voice over IP. Very early voice over IP. There were a number of very early instances, things like net to phone Yahoo Messenger. And our response as Ofcom, the UK regulator, was forbearance from regulation on the basis that it was so early in voice over IP that by imposing regulation at that stage, you would strangle any innovation in the industry.
Okay, yeah.
Because at the time you had the telcos like BT saying it looks like a telephone company.
Yeah.
It should be regulated in the same way as a telephone company, and it should have all of the regulations that we do. But would we have had free telephony, things like WhatsApp or Microsoft Teams today,
Yes.
20 years later, if we'd have started imposing regulation on a company or a technology that was just starting then? I think what you've just described is a similar scenario where the technology is so new that we need to let it experiment. And there'll be some bad actors,
Yeah.
but let it grow
Let it
until
breathe.
it's big enough to be regulated, because we don't know what the unintended consequences of regulation
Yeah,
might be.
no, yeah, it's a really good point, actually. At this point, I'm going to open to the audience and ask if anyone has a question for our panelists on this subject. Well, you've all gone really shy now in my session, right? Okay, I'm going to jump down and give you the mic.
You're doing an amazing job.
Oh, thank you.
I'm very excited by what's taking place. I run a nursing home and home care agency, and I think the idea of an exoskeleton to facilitate aging without borders and aging without retirement is a superb initiative to extending the value of elderly in our society and making them equally as productive as some of the youth. So that's one issue. The second is, I think that there is a danger with AI, which was on BBC last night in terms of catch-up AI dissolved. And basically they were saying that it's amazing that you can integrate these AI technologies into, and language models into our systems, but actually the vulnerability and the security is frightening, and it only took half an hour for a couple of hackers to get into the system and completely change the scenario. So I think, on the one hand, it's a sweetener and a sweet. On the other, it's a very, very, very bitter pill we should be all very aware of. Would you like to comment?
Thank you.
I think it's like every wave of technology, whether that's moving from the punch card to computers to desktop computing to mobile computing. Every wave of technology comes with its issues. But what technology has repeatedly shown us is that its overall impact is positive. Yes, there are always bad actors, and there are, you get spam, you get fraud, using consumer internet today. But would we be without it? I don't think we would. And so I think if you look at the arc of progress that we've had over the last 150 years, it constantly shows that we improve people's lot, we bring economic prosperity, we free people up from repetitive more manual work, and we improve people's lifestyles by introducing technology. So I remain very, very hopeful.
In fact, we've always seen that regulations have a lag when any new technology is created. And we are in such early days that we don't even know what do we regulate, because we haven't even seen the complete possibilities of what the technology can do. But if the AI can be used or misused for a certain thing, I'm sure AI can be also used to regulate such misuse, right? So they're both sides of the coin.
Yeah. Thank you. Brilliant question there. Anyone else? All right, go to the back of the room.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, I'm Nitin. First of all, I don't know. I think we should talk to the person who's choosing the pictures at the background because they're very gloomy. Like I remember the first picture, the first photo was there was the kids in the classroom. Everyone was wearing these VR glasses. It was depressing. The second one was a girl sitting with two robots. In the city, there were no people. I think that was also very depressing. Thankfully, the discussions were more optimistic. But coming back to this, like I think what you said is very important. That technology is a big leveler. I think we work a lot in developing economies, and one thing that we see across Africa, Pacific, Latin America is, if there is one thing which is used by everyone, is Facebook. Okay, so do you see that happening, especially in the creative industry now? Like what really excites me is if I produce a movie, for example, I can produce it in 50 different languages and release it at the same time for everyone. So do you see that happening? And second thing is, do you see that this whole scaremongering that is happening right now, like everyone is worried about AI and everyone want to regulate it. Do you see that might actually restrict the potential of what we can achieve with this? Because I see a lot of people discussing about this, and they discuss a lot negative about this, but there is a lot of things that we can achieve with this. And we have already seen it with the internet. Like there is so much, there's so much more which is common that we find across different places than it used to be. And I think so how do you see that happening with this?
Look, again, I think every technology change has it has been scary for the generation that lived through it. Every single one. Whether you talk about moving from horses to cars, right? There was that caused an outrage. How can you possibly have machinery in the roads? Going from an agrarian economy to an industrial economy wasn't without its detractors. There's always people that worry about change, but it has a hugely beneficial impact. To your point about flattening the world and making providing opportunities in different parts of the world. I've been involved, for example, in working with a number of refugee camps that do data entry. So the provision of Wi-Fi and data connectivity now means that you can do data entry anywhere in the world, and people in refugee camps are now doing work that otherwise had to be done in more sophisticated environments. So I think the wide access to technology, the price points becoming increasingly accessible means that everyone now has access to some of the most sophisticated technology we've ever had in the world. And it's amazing what they're doing with it.
Brilliant question, guys. Thank you so much. I've got one final one before I let you free off the stage. What new genres of film styles or new types of music development or gaming, what do you think will emerge in the next 10 years due to advancements of AI and other technologies?
On the film side, I can comment on, for example, we look at more interactive entertainment, wherein you probably play you play a character in the movie, for example. There could be content that caters to your sensory immersions, cognitive-based, filmmaking styles. I mean, one underlying theme that I think will become very common is interactivity.
Yeah, absolutely. That's to your point earlier. What about you? What do you think?
I think there's going to be a couple of impacts. One is that everyone will be able to become a content creator. So it unleashes people's creativity. Imagine being able to talk to a prompt and ask it to help you create music or film or games, and it creates world-class content on your property. It allows everyone to be a creator, which then speaks to in a world of absolute abundance. What will personalized content look like? And then to your point, what I'm really excited about is actually, rather than sitting down in front of a TV to watch a film or or sitting on my sofa to listen to it or enjoy some music. What happens when that content is unleashed from the device and is everywhere around us? It creates a whole new way of interacting with content to the extent where we perhaps won't know what's actually physical and what's digital. And that, I think, is an exciting opportunity.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. Both very exciting prospects. The future is a very exciting place. The foundation's being laid right now. On that note, I want to say thank you to my brilliant panelists. Give them a big round of applause for sharing their insight. Thank you so much.